Good morning. So
Good
today we're
morning.
going to do our recap on day 7, right?
Day 7,
So
yesterday.
day 7, we left. What was the place again?
El Coco,
Yeah, we left El Coco,
the
and
Nirimbo bed and breakfast, or it wasn't a bed and breakfast, but the container Airbnb,
yeah,
Nirimbo, which means avocado in Spanish.
yeah. I think it was a more uh, native dialect too.
Okay, yep.
I think. So in any case, I don't know. But so day 7, we ended up leaving the beach, and we drove inland, and it was a long drive, but on our way to Monteverde, we decided that we were going to um, take a pit stop and go see a suggested waterfall, Leona. So
Yes.
it's really just a short excursion from Liberia. That's
Yeah, yeah. It was just
so
down the road from Liberia, like 6 kilometers.
yeah. So it's like 6 kilometers, um, and it gets pretty rural pretty quick, which is all right. So we just happened to come up to a tourist stand where they had like a little stand sitting alongside the road, and we got tickets. They were just getting ready to take a tour out, so we followed them. They were concerned about the vehicle not being four-wheel drive, but it had no problems. So we made it down the trail. I think it may have been like 2 miles or something like that from our original starting point. Met a couple that was from Alaska and had a conversation with them briefly, and then we headed off for the waterfall. So once we got there, we were greeted by some more people that were going to be our tour guides, and then we took off on a little hiking adventure. How long do you think that was?
I set my Garmin, and round trip hike to the waterfall and back was like 3.2 miles, somewhere around there, 3.2 miles, with quite a difference in elevation along the way. But yeah, so right alongside the river, around nooks and crannies and over boulders, and having to they had lots of ladders and ropes to help get over the different boulders and obstacles on the hike.
Yeah, and so we went through, um, little bat caves,
Yes.
and um,
Again, I was the weird one stopping to take pictures of all the mushrooms because there were so many mushrooms growing in that wet, fertile ground. Like, yeah, they were everywhere, all
oh yeah,
kinds.
yeah, we should have called it. The whole trip has been Dory's mushroom tour. We'll put together a little recap on all the different mushrooms that she's taken pictures of. So we couldn't walk 2 feet without stopping to take a picture. Sometimes.
Until we had to put our phones away because the guide had a dry bag because there were several parts of the trail you had to swim to get to the next place.
Yeah, one of the things that when you get there, they ask you if you want a life jacket, and you're like,
I'm gonna see what that bird is. Hold on.
I don't know what kind of uh, tour this is, but um, yeah, we'll be fine without a life jacket. So we did it without life jackets.
And it was fine. I didn't see the bird. It's up there somewhere.
Okay,
But yeah,
so
I'm glad we didn't take life jackets because there were only a couple times where you couldn't touch the bottom, and both of us can swim just fine, so we were good.
but anyway, it was a good trip. We had the water was kind of like between a milky green to like a blue.
Yes, they said there's no fish in this particular body of water because of the high sulfur content, and I think that's also what makes it that vibrant blue color. But I thought we'd be able to smell sulfur, but you couldn't at all. And then I also read that in this time of year, the rainy season, it's not quite as vibrant blue because of all the rain. And it just did remind me of a agua la leche, like a very blue pool with like milkiness to it. It was kind of a cloudy, milky, beautiful blue color, though.
And then along the way, we had to do some river crossings, and the water was cool. I would say it was not warm.
Oh, no.
Um,
It
so you
was
got to
not
prepare
warm.
yourself for that,
It was cold.
especially the first time you have to jump in to swim to the next destination. And it's fun. It's pretty safe.
Well, the one exciting part was whenever you don't know you're almost to the waterfall, but there's this part where because it's almost like you're going through canals to try to get up there, and they had this big long rope, and you had to pull yourself along the rope, and then there's like this highly tumultuous water coming out of this canal, and you're having to pull yourself with the rope and place your feet and pull yourself up and like really fight against the water. And it's after fighting through that water and going through the canal that you come out and there's the waterfall. And it was breathtaking, absolutely breathtaking. And the waterfall is coming down and all the spray, and there's this big pool where you can swim around the base of it without, of course, getting too close because you'd probably get pummeled to death by the force of the water. But overall, it was just beautiful and exciting. It was fun to have like a little workout on the way to go see the waterfall.
Yeah, so to give you kind of a description of the terrain and the river, you'd have these pools, and water would come and just fill up those areas, and it would kind of slow down. But then you'd have these pinch points that you'd have to kind of squeeze through, and the water squeezing through the other direction. So you're fighting the current of the river, and then you're also trying to find your footing because you've got big boulders and little boulders and.
But none of the rocks were sharp, I guess, because they've just been smoothed out by the water. The one thing I really have noticed about this country is they're not overly worried about safety. They just kind of leave it to you to know what you're capable of, because some of these things we were doing, if we were in America, they'd have handrails, and the guides, like, they'd probably have some like reflective tape or some traction paint or something, and the guide was just going for it, and we followed, and there was no big concern on safety. It was like, you have to trust that you're good with knowing your limits.
So we made it up to the waterfall. We enjoyed a few minutes there, and then we were ready to kind of come back down
Because we had a long drive still.
and get ready for the drive to Monteverde. So we made it all the way up to the waterfall. We made it down. We saw a small area that had like a smaller waterfall, and got a few pictures. And from there, we made it back to the trailhead. Had a lunch cooked for us there at the site, and then we got in the vehicle and we made the long drive down the Costa Rican Autobahn.
Yes.
So we got up to 90 kilometers per hour.
Yeah.
It was the fastest that I've driven, and I come to realize like you have to really kind of either just drive one constant speed and hope you don't see any of the police along the way, or you're going to end up speeding up, slowing down, speeding up, slowing down, because the signs would just basically gradually go from 80 kilometers an hour to 90, then down to 60, then down to 40.
And we couldn't really figure out what was causing the change of speed. But yeah, like the kilometer signs changed frequently, but the traffic didn't seem to pay any attention to them. They just kept going with whatever speed they were comfortable with.
Yeah, so there's really no rhyme or reason, I don't think. I mean, there probably is, but
we had some fun with the construction zones.
Oh yeah,
and the rain.
Yeah.
And where we accidentally, because it's raining, there's construction going on, and so we're just kind of following a car, and accidentally followed a line of trucks to the weigh station.
So we got weighed. I don't know what we weighed, but we did just pull through there, and they kind of looked at us like we were idiots.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. And they just said something to me, and I just kept on driving.
Yeah.
So.
And even though I don't think Monteverde was actually that many kilometers away from where we were going, but there's no direct route. Like, it was curvy, mountain. Well, first, we had the main like highway, which was awesome. But then when you turned off, it was curvy, mountainous roads. Like, there was no going fast. Like, we were like 10 kilometers away, and it still took another like hour to get here.
Yeah. So once we made off the main road, I'm trying to think what town it was. Maybe past
I don't know.
Canas or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit past there. Laminal, I think it was the little town. The road turns back from, like a major freeway like you might see in America,
Yeah.
back to like a highway with oncoming traffic. So we traveled down, then we hit the rural roads, and it was just windy and going through elevation changes and so forth. So
Yeah.
as you can imagine, it's kind of like just mountain roads
Which
only.
can we rotate and see if it demonstrates the mountainous terrain we drove on? I don't know if we just spin around.
Sure.
We'll just rotate and then we can physically rotate, but that works too. And so this kind of shows what we had to drive up. And this still, like, whenever we go into the town of Monteverde, which still takes us about another 15 minutes to get there, it's still huge, massive, steep roads.
Yeah, we'll try to take you. We'll take a video or a few pictures on our way back up to. Is it Saint Elna?
Yes, St. Elna, I think, is the name of the little tiny town inside the Monteverde region. And I don't know about you, but I was awestruck. Like, we went in last night to go find some groceries and to get dinner.
Yeah, it's a happening little place. There's
I didn't know what I was thinking Monteverde would look like, but it wasn't what it is.
Yeah. So Saint Elna kind of reminds me of like a Colorado mountain town, like a touristy Colorado mountain town.
Yeah, all kinds of artist shops, tons of just little boutique shops. Um, for instance, last night when we went to dinner, we ate dinner in, it's called the Treehouse Restaurant, and there's this giant tree, and they've built a three-story restaurant around this living tree. So yeah, this town it definitely just reminds me of like a Colorado ski town
Yeah.
without snow
Yeah,
or skiing.
it's a little hippie artisty,
Yeah, crunchy kind of town.
Yeah. And everybody here seems, they like to walk around and just kind of enjoy the sights. And it's right next. It's like 3 kilometers from the biological reserve. So
Yeah.
you got a lot of people that come out here for ecotourism, and even our little cabin here that Dory took a picture of or a video
Yes.
yesterday.
So nice. I love
It's
it.
it's just buried in the forest, really.
Yeah.
Lots of tropical plants and flowers and um, banana trees and all sorts of different foliage and fauna. We've also got a couple cats that are liking to hang out with us too. So,
Yes.
but aside from that, the drive was just long, and to get to St. Elna, I think it's what 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like 20 minutes.
It's not many kilometers, but it's just
Yeah,
so
I think it's
curvy and
maybe seven
slow.
kilometers, so we're talking just a few miles, but you can't really navigate it that fast.
Yeah.
And then
So curvy mountainous roads with giant potholes, and they're like dirt roads.
yeah, mostly dirt and rock. And then once you get closer to town, it's been paved, but they're still not the greatest. And aside from that, that kind of recaps our day 7. We had a
Yeah.
good night. We had dinner at the treehouse
Yeah.
restaurant, and we got some food at the supermercado, so we can make breakfast. And we had coffee here,
Yeah.
and then so we just woken up.
Yeah. It's 7 a.m.
Yeah, it's
now.
7. We've already had breakfast.
We
And
have an
kind of
8 o'clock tour scheduled today to go learn about coffee, cocoa, and sugarcane production.
yeah.
And then thinking we might do some touristy stuff today, like doing the zip lines and the hanging bridges. And then we definitely still want to fit in the biological cloud forest reserve, but that may do first thing in the morning on our way out of Monteverde. Once we figure out where on earth we're going next, we keep looking at all the different things there are to do. But it is interesting that it takes so long to get to anything after this because of the roads. So even something as simple as going to La Fortuna or Arenal, which is on the map as the crow flies, probably only 10 miles away, it takes like an hour and a half or 2 hours to get there because you can't go straight. You've got to go yeah, it's interesting to figure out where we're going to go next.
Yep, you have to drive all the way around the lake to get the other side. And then if you want to go to the coast, you got to head down back towards San Jose and So it just makes traveling, you have to kind of plan it out. But
Yeah.
besides that, we've got we got several days left here, so we're going to figure it out, and um, we'll have a couple days to just relax somewhere, and then we'll probably make our way back after that to San Jose to catch our flight. So,
Yeah. So far, so good. I'm loving this cabin. It is so peaceful. I think it's a perfect place to stay. And I wouldn't even mind staying an extra day and just being lazy and laying around and listening to the birds because it is so absolutely peaceful. Love it here.
all right, that's it.
Mhm.